So this question is a diagram question. Any question that provides some visual input, I'm going to call a diagram question. Obviously, what we have here is a right triangle. So when you think about right triangles, there's only a short list of things you need to know. Some of them, or most of them, are actually contained on the formula sheet that's provided for you. Things like Pythagorean theorem and special right triangles, 30, 60, 90, 45, 45, 90. But when it comes to diagram questions in general, the idea is that you want to label your diagram with any given information, as well as any other information that you know. Because this test is digital, I do suggest that you redraw this triangle yourself on your scratch paper, that you label it as such, right? We have R, we have S, we have T, and we also have 53 here as the hypotenuse. So reading the question, we see that it says in the triangle shown, RS is equal to square root 105. So we're going to label that where RS is, that's square root 105. The question then says, what is the value of sine R? So R is angle R. It's this angle right here that I'll fill in black. And the sine of that angle, whenever we're asked for the sine of or cosine or tangent of some unknown angle, what you want to think about is SOHCAHTOA. So this acronym tells us the ratio of the right triangle that we need to use in order to find the trig function that's being asked for. So for sine, SOH here represents that sine of an angle. I'll call it sine R because R is our angle here, is equal to the opposite side of that angle, that's the O, divided by the hypotenuse of the right triangle. So in that case, that means we would have the opposite side of that angle R, which is the side here, which I'll call X, divided by the hypotenuse, which is root 53. So sine R is equal to X over 53, which means all we really need to figure out is what's X. So lastly, like I said before, on the formula sheet, there's also what's called the Pythagorean theorem. The Pythagorean theorem, which is a squared plus b squared equals c squared, basically tells us how to find a missing side of any right triangle where we know two of the other sides, right? So the fact that I know the hypotenuse is 53 and the side here is 105, I can use Pythagorean theorem to figure out what x is. The only caveat there is that the hypotenuse must be the c value. Otherwise, it doesn't matter what we call a or b. So I'm going to call a my square root 105. I'm going to call b my x. So filling this information in, a squared, therefore, would be the square root of 105 squared, plus b squared is going to be plus x squared because x is my b side, and is equal to 53 squared because 53 being the hypotenuse is my 53 is my hypotenuse. That's my c. So doing a little bit more math, the square root of 105 squared is equal to 105. So 105 plus x squared equals, I'm going to go to my calculator and figure out, well, what is 53 squared? And that is 2,809, so 2809. I can then subtract 105 from both sides here. And let's go here for more space. I will leave me with x squared is equal to 2809 minus 105, which is 2704. And then I can square root both sides because I just want to figure out what x is. So the square root of 2704 is 52. So I get x is equal to 52. But again, the question was not asking me to solve for x. It was asking me to solve for the sine of r. So the sine of r equals x over 53, just to remind you here. And therefore, since we know x is 52, that means the sine of r is really 52 over 53. And that is our final answer. So our answer here is 52/53.